So we made it through the first big freeze. Let me show you what I did to not only survive the freeze out here on the homestead, but to thrive, and actually killing 2 or 3 birds with one stone. Not those birds, but different birds. Let me show you what I did and why you might want to do the same thing. Well, first of all, I've shown you this in the past. This is a freeze miser. It's an ingenious little device that when the temperature, you just leave the hose on, and when the temperature gets down to about 37, 38 degrees, it starts dripping. It shuts off until then. As you can see, nothing coming out. But when it gets down to 37 or 38, I think it is, it starts dripping, and it saves your pipes. It saves your faucets from freezing, saves your pipes from freezing up, your well pipes, your hoses, your fittings. These fittings will bust if you've got it closed off. If there's water in it and you've turned it off, these fittings will bust, this brass. And these freeze misers, I've got about 10 of them. And they really do a great job in keeping everything flowing in a hard cold spell. Now you may say, well, your cold spell was like 10 degrees. Yeah, it was. That's cold for us. But there's a dude in Wyoming that has got freeze misers on a lot of his outdoor faucets for his cows and such. Our Wyoming Life is his name. And he gets down to, I don't know, a little colder than that, minus 20, minus 30, minus 50 wind chill factors. And they are on his stock tanks. They're keeping his stock tank open and free of ice. So let me just show you how I use this, and let me show you the way to check your new freeze miser. Before you put it in service, you really need to do a check on it. Let me show you how to do that. Well, first of all, when you get them, before you put them in service, for about 2 or 3 hours, put the freeze miser in the freezer and get it down to temperature, get it down to 0 or so. That's how you check to make sure that it's going to work. There could be a bad one in the bunch, and you want to make sure it works before you put it into service. So when you get your freeze miser out of the freezer, it's nice and cold. Take it immediately out there and put it on your hose, screw it in the hose, and this is where I turn my hose on, and it's going to run water. Now I'm going to go ahead and time it for you and see how long it runs. But the process is, while this is coming up to temp, right now it's at 0 degrees because it was in my freezer. As it comes up to 58 degrees, which is what the ambient temperature is outside right now, as it's coming up to that, it will start shutting down, start getting slighter and slighter volume coming out of it until it stops. Now, if the temperature was below 37, 38 degrees, it won't stop. It'll come down to a trickle, and that trickle will protect your pipes. So it's been about a minute. I don't know really how long it takes. I've never timed it before. But it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's bypassing whatever is inside that opens up during the cold and closes the faucet down like it's doing right now. You can see it closes the faucet down when the temperature of the freeze miser gets to above freezing, above 37, 38. The water's warming it up too. That water's probably 60 degrees, so it's warming it up. But it goes by the ambient temperature, the outside temperature, and it will close down completely. It takes a few minutes. It's been 2 minutes, I think. And as you can see, in fact, I heard it close. It has a washer inside, comes with a washer. When you put it down on your hose or on your faucet, it seals real good. You're not going to get any leakage from around here. I'm getting a little bit, but that brass fitting right there is old. So my leakage was probably my fault. Or you could wrap some Teflon tape around it if you still have some leakage. But that's the way you check one out to make sure before you install it. I haven't had a bad one like that, but to make sure before you install it that it is going to open up when it gets cold. Okay, take it out of the freezer, put it on a hose, turn it on until it quits, and then you know it works. And then you can put it where you want to put it. Now, when I said you're going to kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone, this is what I meant. For your livestock, in this case chickens, I put a pan down there to catch the drip. And when it got down to 37, it dripped. When it got down to 10 degrees, it was dripping pretty hard because it does increase. The drip increases as the temperature goes down because it has to run enough water through that hose to keep your faucet and your well, your pipes, whatever, from freezing. So what I did was leave it right here under this little pot right there. But it kept the ice from forming on top of this. So in other words, it kept the water open for the chickens to come drink out of. I didn't have to put a heater on it. I didn't have to put anything like that. So I was killing 2 birds with one stone there. I kept fresh water for the chickens to have at all times, which would work also for cows if you got a stock tank out there. That's what the Wyoming boy does, is leave it out there on his stock tank, and it protects his way down below what we're ever going to get. But it works great here, and I just thought you might want to see it, but also see how to check it. Your initial installation of it needs to have that checked. Put it in the freezer, take it out of the freezer, put it in service immediately before it warms up, and then you'll see it clamp down on it and stop. And that is an amazing little device. Again, save my bacon during the freeze. And somebody told me that one of the plumbing companies in our area had over 500 calls after the big freeze of people's pipes busted and such. If that happened inside a wall or inside your house, could be catastrophic and very, very expensive. How much are these? Dadgum, I think they're about $30, $35. I'm really not sure, but that's a whole lot cheaper than having a plumber come out and fixing your pipe. So if you don't have freeze misers, it's going to get cold again. So it might be time to grab you a freeze miser or 2 and put them outside and keep your faucets dripping when it gets real cold. I'll leave this one hooked up now, leave it turned on. We're going to get some cold nights. Not going to be real cold, down in the 30s. This will come on. It'll keep the chickens watered. I don't have to water them all winter long, and my well is protected. That right there is worth the price of admission. So get you 1 or 2 or 5, and I'll have a link below to the freeze miser. And they've come out with another little doodad that I haven't put in service yet that combines the freeze miser with a chicken waterer, my favorite one, which is the Little Giant poultry water. And I'll show you that in coming weeks when I put that in service. And I probably will just hang it down right here. I'm not sure. Anyway, if you think there's a problem, if you live in an area where it gets cold and you want to protect your stuff and just kind of out of sight, out of mind, know that it's going to work, get you some of these, test them before you put them in service, and then sleep pretty confident. Now, I went outside and checked mine. When it got cold, I went outside 2 or 3 times a day and check mine, make sure they were running and everything. I just wanted to be sure, and they were. Never had a problem, never had a problem, never had a problem. All right, I think that's it. We're gone.